While I have this thing apart, here's my simple solution. Uh, Basically, your main valve body, the ones with these boxes on top and the extra hydro connections, they're actually mirrored on the bottom of the valve stack as well. Those are pilots. So they still have the main in and out to your each cylinder function. You can see which ones are mechanically controlled instead of pilot, travel, blade, thumb. So there's a little slop in these, which this is this factory location for this one, but I've welded some shit onto it. Both of them here. It was a Fiskars garden lopper. So the handles were already the right size and pretty much the right height. So I just welded on, cut it off and welded on the male portions of the handles. And then you can, without going through fancy brass and shit for the blade or either function, you can actually just jam some vinyl. I found some vinyl tubing and jammed in there. You could obviously tack weld on and grind it better, machine it better. You could not get this floor section off before without removing this bull bar, and I welded it into the main bar because I like it better that way. So it required taking off some really long bolts that were sticking out here that you couldn't get off without, that kind of held the floor in place. Right now my floor only bolts 1, 2, 3 places. And I also welded, there was 2 sections and they were bolted together and it looked like shit and whatnot. So I welded them together and bed lined that, made a mat. There's where both controls come up, and initially your thumb, this mechanical control was flipped to the front and was here in the floor. So I didn't like the foot controls. Really hard to be find control with them. So the first thing I did was I added a piece of rebar here so you can use your toe to pick up the blade or push down the blade. But then obviously the thumb, I used both sets of bearings, had to add a third bearing and a longer bolt. But other than that, I'm using the same pivot point. And this, the thumb being it has a longer lever, obviously now has less throw, but works excellent with a 2-foot handle on it. I actually prefer less throw. But then I just hodgepodged the original bracket, bent it, welded on some rebar. Yeah, I think I used rebar. And just finagled a good connection that was smooth. So really pleased with that, and I have video of me working it, and it does work well. I've now actually used it